What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I had a request yesterday to put together a video on the battles and the struggles of what it's like to face an unorthodox opponent. And I think this was specifically requested because I was breaking down how difficult it will be for Adesanya to defeat Alex Pereira, because Alex Pereira is a little bit odd. Not in a bad way, just in the fact that he is not a normal opponent. He does things that don't fit the mold. He breaks the rules, and that can make unorthodox in many people's minds, which can make a very difficult fight. We're gonna break down my thoughts on this, my experience facing unorthodox fighters. We're gonna talk about it all, but we're gonna keep this really short today because I did 3 training sessions, running, weights, boxing, all today, and I need to go and take a break. So, I'm not going to beat around the bush. If I had to sum up exactly what you need to do to defeat an unorthodox opponent, it would very simply be, just giving you the golden nugget right here, right away, you need to understand what makes them unorthodox. If you don't, you're not going to drill it correctly in training camp, and therefore when you get in the ring, you're not expecting it, you're not prepared for it, and then they're going to be unorthodox, they're going to be weird. You're gonna be looking at them going, why don't you just fight right? Like, what the heck? We're taught how to fight in the gym and you're doing everything wrong. That's how you feel. And it's okay to feel that way because yes, these guys, people like I've fought, like Sergey Adamchuk, very, very odd style for Glory Kickboxing. Lerdsila, very, very odd style. What you have to recognize in these guys is they are one of a kind. You cannot find sparring partners to replicate them exactly. And that there is the big difficulty. If you cannot find people to replicate them in the same way that they're going to throw shots at you, the same speed they have, the same power, their thought process, how can you be prepared for them? Well, that's when it comes down to drilling. Now, I already put out a video the other day about how Adesanya should go about training to beat Alex Pereira, but this is more strategy. And what he needs to recognize in Pereira is things like I said in yesterday's video, this guy does not pull his hands back to his head when he throws the cross. He doesn't protect his head as he combos. When he low kicks, he doesn't pivot, but he still gets massive power. Knowing things like that and understanding what makes this guy a bit of an oddity in the cage, that will make things easier because then you can begin structuring your drilling, your training around those ideas. So that when you do step in the ring and you do come face to face with this person, it's not going to be as frustrating and as awkward as it may have been without that preparation. That is the big struggle when you step in there with somebody who's doing things wrong. You're going, I'm not ready for this. I've sparred thousands of rounds, but nobody moves like this dude. Example, when I was getting ready to fight Lerdsila, I knew he did so many things weird. Hands down. Slipping shots. He doesn't need his hands up because his head movement is so good. Most people just go in and headhunt him and he just slips and he slips and he slips and then he smacks him or throws a kick. I went, okay, you know what? I'm gonna target down to the chest and I'm gonna hit down to the body and then I'll come back to the head, and just doing something basic like that gave me success and gave me one of the few victories or losses for Lerdsila that he's really ever had in the past decade. So yes, having a fighter who is unorthodox is extremely frustrating. And as long as you wrap your head, in my mind, around basically what makes them unorthodox, and you manage to overcome that to a certain extent, you get training partners to try and move like them. Yes, they won't be the same, but you're starting to see the general pattern of movement or their favorite technique. Adesanya has a tough go ahead though, because the things that make Pereira so dangerous and so unorthodox are very hard to replicate. Somebody who hits that hard. What could Adesanya do? Well, he could train to take no shots. And that's really what he does have to do, right? I mean, if this guy takes a shot from Pereira, it's not good for him. So he could bring in bigger sparring partners, but they still might not hit as hard as Pereira. And chances are when you're sparring Izzy, you don't want to be punching from down here. You're going to be guarding up. So you can do the best you can, but it's very hard to replicate somebody like Pereira stylistically to a T. I think the mental side is a key component to defeating an unorthodox fighter. You need to know that when you step into that cage or ring, that things are going to be awkward and they're not going to feel as awesome as they might normally when you're in there and you're winning a fight. I've had the fights before, like in Sergey Adamchuk when I won one of these belts, and I was in there like, I'm winning, but it feels terrible. It doesn't feel like a good fight. And if you can wrap your head around that, and I did, I went into that fight going, this is not going to be a pretty fight. This is not going to be a fan-friendly fight. This is not going to be a fight that I'm happy with. But overall, what's my main goal? Get the win. And if I get the win, all those other three things to me just kind of brush off to the side. I have one goal. I want to win this fight. If you can go in like that, I want to win. I know what the odd things are. I've trained for them as best I can. I'm still going to expect an odd, awkward fight. That's the best you can do. That's really all you can do to overcome the struggles and the frustration of fighting these guys who just don't do things the way you're used to. And it's as simple as that. I will be very interested to see what Adesanya does this weekend against somebody who's unorthodox like Pereira. But keep in mind, Adesanya in his own way is a little unorthodox too. I wouldn't say to the same extent, but he's a little different in the way he moves, and he likes to take time in between fights, and he likes to taunt people, and all that can be frustrating. But overall, I'm going to be very intrigued to watch this fight, and I'm very happy that you guys have been enjoying the content I'm putting out about the UFC 287 main event. It's going to be an awesome one. I hope you guys take a chance to watch it, and I will be sure to cover it and give my thoughts post-fight, as long as it's not a boring fight. If it's a boring fight, I'll just be like, yeah, I don't want to cover it. But aside from that, I don't see it playing out that way. I will do my best to cover it post-fight, probably on Sunday. Have an awesome episode out for everybody. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. As always, guys, train hard. I will see you back here soon for another video.